did have the Risky Skipper package, which Surrender has been cutting alongside a lot of the APAC players this week. It's the Druids, I suppose, where you could see the most standout differences potentially in build, but they both have gone for the Kael'thas double survival of the fittest
You
package.
have much to answer for.
Yeah, and also the Demon Hunters being ever so slightly different. Surrender with the more traditional version of the deck with the Glaive-bound Adepts. Glory with the Penflingers in there, and I would literally give any amount of money for Glory to win this series with the phrase, "Hey loser," as his card is played. But we'll have to see. Maybe I'll get my dream, maybe not.
We'll start off with Demon Hunter versus Druid, though, which is definitely a matchup that I would put in the favor of the Druid. Our graphic also supports that. For Surrender, the opening hand, I definitely want to keep the Mana Feeder Panthera, but I think we've seen from Shaxi keeping Skull against Druid, but that was on the play with the Skull already on the far left.
It's a tough one, right? One in from the left, you're pretty likely to be able to get it down sometime early on, and Surrender does agree. It's 5 drops that stop him from coining it, but Marrow Slicer, I mean, this curve speaks for itself, right? He's got a 2, 3, 4, 5 ready to go.
That's right, just treating the Mana Feeder as a 3-cost card. The only thing he was lacking was Spirit Jailer off the top, but let's not get too greedy. As for Glory, no ramp just yet, or no hard ramp, I should say.
Well, not really much of anything with this particular hand. The payoff isn't really there quite yet, and the ramp isn't coming together. I suppose once turn 7 hits, we could see an Ironbark Overflow Kael'thas thing happen. But he's going to be tanking quite a bit of damage before then, and this is how I think you're standing a chance in the matchup.
Yep, having the early curve go unanswered from Demon Hunter allows them to get the chip damage in, and sometimes in certain board states, just ignore the Druid board and close out the game with enough Marrow Slicers / Lapidary damage. For Glory, this is looking very depressing, but you can sort of feel a plan coming together because he has access to 7 mana next turn if he wants to use all of his soft ramp.
Right, and then he needs to make the decision, do you go for the straight-up Overflow on 7 mana, or are you saving it for 8 mana to go with Kael'thas as well, which would be 2 turns away? Whatever he's thinking about then, in the immediate, he is just trying to lock down the board and avoid exactly what we were talking about, of that chip damage coming through in the early game.
I've never seen Broom use this aggressively with the Ironbark, but the usage of that card tells me that he is almost certainly on board for the Overflow next turn. This also has the slight upside for Glory of making the Hero Power Mana Feeder turn from Surrender a little bit more awkward. I expect to see a deviation with the Eldrazi Warblades instead.
I suppose, yeah. He's got to think about what his next couple of turns are going to be, because the ideal game plan here, I think, would be go for the Marrow Slicer and then either coin Skull or play the Lapidary, which Eldrazi Warblades kind of messes with because you have a lot of weapon charges to try and chew through there.
That's true, and that's why Surrender is still just going to stick to this Mana Feeder game plan. On board, it does challenge the Broom very well.
That's got to be a little more tempting.
Yes. This means that Glory's not overloaded the next turn, and he gets the immediate board hit.
Yeah, if he can find himself another Innovate here, then we're, of course, looking at Kael'thas plus Overflow, but maybe I'm getting a little bit greedy trying to find both the Kael'thas and the Overflow in one turn. You take your card draw and move on.
Surrender, pretty sure he's wishing that he had a Blade Dance to make quick work of this Twilight Runner, but not available. So probably still just going to be the Marrow Slicer curve.
Yeah, I think Marrow Slicer just completely unlocks this hand. It both allows for Coin Skull or Lapidary because you have the Soul Fragments in your deck, and then you just you decide from there. Whatever the situation calls for, you can adapt.
Just a question of whether he swings immediately, because next turn could just be a Skull turn. It could also be the Soul Shard Lapidary to keep pushing. And if you want to go Lapidary, I would imagine he wants to get all the weapon swings through with the Eldrazi Warblades, but holding on to it makes notes for Surrender, keeping flexibility.
Yeah, I really like this because with the way the curve likely works out, you're very possibly going Coin Skull, hope that you find a Blade Dance, and then the turn after that, you're going Lapidary plus the Blade Dance as well for a huge board swing. with having a weapon charge absolutely saved. It's just, I think, good recognition of the spot he's in.
Yeah, with a weapon that big, even the post-survival boards have a hard time surviving against that. And that's kind of the Demon Hunter's ace in the hole in this matchup. Oh boy, is it tempting to Soul Shear this away. He's definitely committed to the Coin Skull, and there's still a chance of picking up a way to deal with the Twilight Runner without committing a charge.
Yeah, it was just too bad to not go for the
That's nice.
to not go for the skull there, because he would have had to have like floated 2 mana, just played out the very sad Shard Shatter Mystic, but now he just gets to do both. It's the dream.
The reasons for holding on to this, I'm thinking the fact that he doesn't currently have a Blade Dance in hand makes this not an auto play. I still think it's too good to pass up, but it's worth noting that I think Surrender was really gearing up for a big Blade Dance.
Yeah, it's also currently his only fragment in the deck, I believe, so he can't play Lapidary on this turn now, because he needs to get the Soul Shear played first, so it does slow him down a little bit, it's fair to say.
Right, Kael'thas hit the board, overflow, potentially a second round of Kael'thas if Glory is very lucky.
And lucky he is.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Oh,
well,
Surrender hates to see it.
You do, but this is, I mean, this is the 29%, right? This is what happens most of the time in the matchup. They're going to do something. Magtheridon, however, is a very interesting pickup at this point, with both a Shard Shatter in hand, a way to shuffle Soul Fragments into the deck on this turn. There's a strong setup for Magtheridon here.
Yeah, it could very well just be play it down and Soul Shear one of the 1/3s, and just say to Glory, if you're developing this turn, I will punish it. The big punish for Surrender is if he feels like the second survival can come down with the Kael'thas sticking to buff up the 2 remaining 1/3s.
In which case, you consume magic on the Kael'thas then, and then it's, I think, impossible because he's played a Bloom and 2 Innovates.
Right, I think so. We're going to start with a card draw, which leads me to think he's still going to consume magic, so we can just push more damage to the face as well. Can fit in the consume, the Soul Shear, and the Magtheridon this turn. There's also the small consideration of holding the Shear for next turn to prevent the possibility of top decking both of.
True, true.
Oh, he's just going to kill the Kael'thas. Holding on to Magtheridon for something more threatening.
Wow. Ah,
that's super interesting to me.
It really is. It seemed to me like you have a pretty strong setup, because even if the Druid doesn't develop anything next turn, that's fine, right? You still get a 12/12 in play. And I know they're likely to be able to clear it off, but you're likely to lose this game. Something has to go right for you here for Surrender.
Maybe just trying to get more threats caught in the crossfire of Magtheridon, but now there's the problem of not immediately having the soul fragment in the deck, so we can't go for that this turn.
Obviously, it's a reasonable play to just tank 14. The Druid has very little damage from hand. Survival of the Fittest is one of those extra sources of damage, so Magtheridon probably not a play on this turn anymore. Correct.
Still gonna be a setup play. Lapidary allows him to get through one of these Anubisoth defenders.
And then that's 7 more damage you sink into a minion after sinking even more damage into a minion last turn.
Yeah, it's more of a you take the healing while you can get it, because he still ends up at 30 after this attack. Defensive play. And you get the 5/5 on board.
Yeah, I guess he's just waiting.
The Ysera looks pretty tempting here for Glory.
It does. It does.
My dream is your nightmare.
Every single trade possible because he knows Magtheridon is a possibility, doesn't want to let Surrender get any free damage in case.
I love
The
Surrender.
Ysera is really the X factor here because Surrender can't really predict when the next board will be built.
Yeah, and you also can't predict when the board will be too big for your 3 Magtheridon minions to clear everything up.
Right.
And
Sorry,
Surrender
I cut
hit
you
like
off before that.
no, just that he can look as upset as he wants as each big minion comes down, but like there are only 7 cards left in the deck before the cards shuffled in. Like if it's not Ysera, it's another thing. It's just another survival, or it's 2 beasts, or it's a guardian animals. Like something's gonna get him here.
And pretty rough that he hasn't hit Blade Dances just yet. I think he is going digging for those because clearly we can see Surrender does not feel that the last few board states were worthy of a Magtheridon just yet. So last soul fragment drawn really
Into
makes the hand
Lapidary.
awkward. Yeah.
That's just BM from the deck at that point. Oi, oi, oi.
Going for the setup.
Oh!
How much damage is this? 12 plus 11, 23 with the survival.
It's just funny. I love Surrender. I think he's one of the best players we've ever seen in Hearthstone, but it's just funny watching this happen.
Oh wait, I miscounted.
Yeah.
Sorry, it wasn't. It was 16 plus. Oh my god, it was 16 plus the damage on board already.
Well,
I forgot to apply the buff to Ysera because I thought it was already big.
of course. Well, there's always a bigger Ysera, and it does mean that Glory is taking the first game of the day. A silly way to get there, admittedly, with the Magtheridon minions getting buffed up, but the expected win, 71% of the time, according to the stats that we have in Soul Demon Hunter vs. Druid in GM so far. I don't think it's quite that bad of a matchup. Like 70% is an extremely favorable matchup one way, but it definitely paints the picture. Something has to go extremely fortunately for one player to win. And it was a weird game there at the end for Surrender. I feel like maybe he had some kind of a master plan he was trying to make happen with Magtheridon that didn't quite come together. But it felt like a slightly earlier use was probably his best chance of trying to steal the win.
Yeah, it just seemed that his hand came together in such a way that you spend the mana this turn to get the soul fragments down. You have the Magtheridon next turn. It's probably telegraphed to Glory by that point, and you expect him to not commit that many resources. But at least by the time you have a 12-12, you are making Glory have the Thresher Rush to answer it from hand or something like that. Very possibly we just were not able to understand what Surrender was thinking, but maybe he can pull it back in the next game.
Yeah, I was going to say I wish I could see into Surrender's head, but to be honest, I'm not entirely sure that's a place I want to be. Can't imagine what runs through that man's head. But with that first game of the series out of the way, we're going to go to a quick break. And when we come back, we'll continue Glory versus Surrender. You're watching Hearthstone Grandmasters. We'll see you soon. Welcome back to Hearthstone Grandmasters. It's Glory up against Surrender, a rematch of our finals in Season 1 here in APAC. It was a fantastic finals we had there with, even though Glory being the victor, in my opinion, Surrender playing some of the best Hearthstone I've ever seen from him. His play, in the end, making its way to the most prestigious of awards, a top 5 moment for the week. Truly staggering stuff for old Surrender there. And what we just had to see him get absolutely dumpstered in the Druid versus Demon Hunter matchup, he may be able to get his own back now with the exact mirror happening the other way round.
Yes, indeed. However, Surrender's Druid list is not exactly the same as Glory's that I can see. He has the one of Anubis Defender, where Glory still has 2 copies. I think that Glory cut 1 crystal power in favor of that. Sorry, Surrender has 0 crystal power. So there's quite a few tricks and turnarounds there. But the fact that Surrender doesn't have crystal powers, I think, is a very big deal in the matchup, because sometimes you want to have that extra healing to shore up against the all-face game plan that Demon Hunter can sometimes apply.
Yeah, it's definitely important to have a bit of healing against Demon Hunter. I feel like that as the Druid, now that Metamorphosis has all but completely disappeared from Demon Hunter lists, the actual healing isn't quite so necessary as the proactive game plan is, because a lot of the time you can just straight up force the Demon Hunter to trade into your minions because of how aggressive you're being.
And I love how you mentioned proactive game plan, because Glory's Keep says just that. This is a coin marrow slicer into Magtheridon, into Shard Shatter Mystic Curve, if I've ever seen one.
This is just such an obvious face-up game plan. Obviously, I mean, Surrender can't see the cards, but Glory knows exactly what's up here. Early Magtheridon, you'd have to imagine early Shard Shatter and just pray that a 12-12, you can ride it to victory.
As for Surrender, the Twilight Runner is interesting as a keep, because he can guaranteed play it after Wild Growth, but it feels a little bit pessimistic.
Yeah, it is a little bit, but I think I just like it. Like, there are too many hands in this list that are a little bit dead, in my opinion, because there aren't that many cards you want to hit after you've ramped up. Obviously, Guardian Animals is the dream, and Overflow is like a pretty far away second. But outside of that, there's a lot of cards that are just absolutely terrible. So Twilight Runner is a very good middle ground, I think.
I'm thinking it's just that because these lists are now cutting 1 beast and you have the 5 total package, it's a bit scary if you run into drawing too many beasts. Granted, it's often the case that you don't even expect to get value out of the second GA and just the first. Okay, Glory's hand. 3 weapons. That's all of them. Gotta go for the Marrow Slicer into the Magtheridon. It's a pretty face-up plan, as you said, but can Surrender do anything about it?
He can do his own pretty face-up game plan, to be honest, as he draws the 4 out of 5th beast, 1 Lake Thresher left in his deck now. Guardian Animals, not a completely dead draw, but not a good draw anymore.
But he still takes pretty much any draw because he doesn't have anything to ramp into with the Overgrowth at the moment.
Go on, Gia.
1 fragment drawn?
Say that the keep was wrong. I dare you. Say that keeping the Twilight Runner was wrong here.
I don't think it's strictly wrong. It just felt pessimistic, is what I was saying.
Yeah.
I mean, you still go for the Magtheridon. It is so unlikely that he top decks the other Soul Fragment, but that would be a bottom 5 moment if that happened.
Release me, and I will grant you a mercy.
Yep, that's right, Surrender. He kept another card in this hand. I wonder what it could be.
If only you could use the Iron Bark to buff 1 minion but give taunt to another. That would make things a little bit more awkward, but as it stands, there's just no way to to play around the Shard Shatter Mystic plus the charge of the Marrow Slicer to clear up all of the 1/3s.
I mean, if we're going by that logic, if only Ironbark was 3 Pyroblasts for 0 mana, that would be really nice for Surrender as well.
I'd take 2 Pyroblasts and a Fireball. Let's not get too still lethal.
The only real...
Ramping,
Yeah, so-
I would assume.
Yeah, the plays you're looking at are either ramp or get down a Teacher's Pet, which forces them to attack in first. It doesn't really sound worth it, I think, taking the ramp.
I don't think it makes a difference, right? Because the Death Rattle happens after Magtheridon's effect goes off. Oh, you mean with the Hero Power and then Shard Shatter? Okay.
Yes.
That would have cleared off everything. But if you don't Hero Power...
Actually, I think it does kill off the Death Rattle minion, because Magtheridon happens after the Death Rattle effect, doesn't it?
I feel like we've seen this interaction on the stream and gotten surprised. Like, I remember a Zixor Prime surviving somewhere.
Oh, really? Okay, okay. I thought I remember it dying, but either way, it's not going to happen this time, so I can leave my ignorance. I can leave people ignorant to my ignorance.
Okay, well, Surrender did take the ramp path, obviously, because he had Ysera in hand. Not the greatest defense, even with the Iron Bark.
Oh, okay, so the lines that I'm looking at here. Step 1 is, or level 1 is obviously Ysera, just throw it down. Level 2 is Teacher's Pet plus Gidra to set up for survival next turn for a massive Gidra buff and just win the game. Is that a thing?
Very unlikely that the Gidra survives as a 1/4. But obviously this one feels bad too, because even if the Ysera managed to tank damage, the Magtheridon was far from being killed. But Glory gets the best of both worlds, and even silence it.
This is the absolute dream. And now, Gia, the real magic of the deck comes through. Even if there's more taunts, Glory doesn't care. He's got the Penflinger to attack face again and again and again. There's very little healing in the deck because of no crystal powers.
Sorry, I was on board with you until you said Penflinger and not Blade Dance.
No, he's got Penflinger! The dream!
He's got Lapidary Blade Dance. That's how you end the game next turn.
Who cares?
What?
Fine, loser. Doesn't even matter. Surrender doesn't have an answer for the Magtheridon, so he could end the game in any number of ways he so chooses. Lapidary,
oh my
Blade
God.
Dance. Even if it is a taunt minion, you just swing into it. That GG.
Yes, Glory, you do have lethal here. There is no double taunt inside there that can save him.
You just know he was looking for the Penflinger lethal. You just know it.
I do. I know Glory, and he was trying to get the style points there. Brutal match for Surrender, but, I mean, well played to Glory. It was a very simple game plan, one that was just screaming out from his opening hand. But it was a powerful game plan, one that Surrender just simply did not have the answer for, even with Wild Growth and Overgrowth in his starting hand.
And that's why players are still playing Magtheridon in their lists. A couple weeks ago, I was very critical of the inclusion. It felt like in most matchups, this card sits dead in hand.
Yeah.
Very weak against Rogue, against Tempo Mage, against Priest, which all have very convenient answers to it. But that one card inclusion, and it doesn't even need additional cards to activate it that you're not already playing in your deck, can be the single trump card against the worst matchup. So that means that Glory has won the Druid versus Demon Hunter from both ends. A huge, huge hill to climb for Surrender now.
Yeah, very likely, I think it's fair to say, to go all the way now. The one remaining deck for Glory is the Tempo Mage, which we have seen get reverse swept even as early as this week, or as recently, I should say, as this week in Grandmasters. Still got some decent matchups, though. Obviously, the Demon Hunter is, well, I should say, supposedly the weak matchup. Even though Tempo Mage is rocking a 51% win rate against Demon Hunter so far in APAC GM. I think that, you were saying, you hit the nail on the head. The play has not been perfect as Demon Hunter against Tempo Mage, nor has it been the other way, to be fair, though, with the Mage against the Demon Hunter going both ways. But I do think from both of our players here, we can get, what if it does come down to that, a pretty good estimation of how the matchup in general should play out.
I would definitely expect to see that, but it looks like Surrender has queued up his mage first, so we're starting off with a good old mirror. Surrender's tempo mage list is the dragon package one with the double cobalt
Mm.
spell and double arcane breath, popularized by Orange, which you and I are less fans of than the other list, but it looks like Glory's also running that.
Yeah, well, I should say, I'm a bigger fan of this version of the deck.
It is
I'm not
fine.
so sure that it's necessarily the best suited to this point in the metagame, especially in GM Conquest. I think this
Oh,
version in particular doesn't have quite enough punch to get there. That is, of course, unless you draw a dream starting hand like this one, such as Glory.
the insta full keep. Whenever I
Mm-hmm.
write Mullet over, I look for, one person saying what the ideal opener looks like so I can just find a clip and stick that in the beginning of the video. Too bad I'm already done with Tempo Mage.
And we can have the retemponing, maybe part 2,
Hmm.
maybe not.
The dragon version.
Ooh.
Okay, but Surrender at least has the ability to land the first lab partner,
Oh, it says explode!
Again, we
which,
see the
threatens on the other end of cram session, etc.
right. Wow, I mean, so much to talk about already. Surrender starting with the lab partner instead of the spellwing, which generally is what people do, but I do see people start with spellwing sometimes, in no small part because of the punish of Coin Solarian or even Coin Apprentice sometimes being able to take a strong VT, or at the very least forcing a ping on the opposing turn. Glory wants to save the coin here, apparently, doesn't want to go with Coin Solarian, which I think I would have thrown down pretty happily here.
Oh, really? I tend to hold on to coin with this type of apprentice hand, and I like the idea of getting down Spellwing because it can be very slow in the matchup. Like, you want the spell more than you want the body. I find that a lot of the time you'd rather have the missiles when you've fallen behind.
That's fair, that's fair. I just think, like, you can use the missiles when you've fallen behind, but are you falling behind that often? I guess this is the version with Arcane Breath, which is another strong answer to a 3-2 on board. It's very close.
I will crush your delusions of grandeur.
Or you're gonna use it to most of the time sweep up this board, and now he has the double Primordial Studies with Cram Session hand, not to mention the chance of this Solarian sticking.
Yeah, I mean, this hand for Glory is just absolutely disgusting. This is the dream hand at this point, almost.
For Surrender, looks like he's not even necessarily gonna deal with the Solarian this
It
turn.
says
Okay, gonna go for
explode!
missiles.
Yeah, if it kills it, very possibly Cyclone, because with this hand you don't really want too many spells off of Cyclone so that your evocation works. So I do like this low-value Cyclone.
Yeah, I agree. Oh!
Oh!
Oh my god.
Oh! Yep, that's right, Surrender.
Too much value. Another Solarian, of course. Oh.
Oh, good Solarian, bad Solarian. He's got it all.
4 spells so far with the coin. Do you even care about overdrawing at this point? Probably not. Or you could
Nope.
just like go Cyclone into the second Ray of Frost when it comes to that.
God.
I have lost count of the spells played.
Yeah. I don't think it's more than 7, is it? And if it is, he's likely to be able to play 1. Oh, wow, okay, he actually is going to overdraw.
Overdraw a little bit, but who cares is the main point here. I guess he can't curve into the Cobalt, but he just has value for days.
Yeah.
Time runs out on
I
me.
think I'm just snapping the Magic Dart Frog. I don't care about value, I just care about being able to clear.
What to do?
Has a play onto the board next turn.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
He doesn't want to draw.
A simple spell
Wow, nice turn.
Ooh, okay, that's a big overdraw though. I would have snap played that if it were in
Yeah.
the place of the Magic Dark Frog.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I think so.
So
It is
just too
clunky.
much value.
Yeah,
And I
th-
think
this...
it might just be Secret Dart Frog. The order doesn't matter if you're planning to trade both of them in any way.
So you just do it the wrong way to be cool.
Yeah. Don't want to overkill by one.
Yeah. Oh, it was such a... I mean, it's not a terrible Cyclone hand. It's just a very, very slow one. Like, it's huge amounts of value, obviously, with double Pock and a potion.
Right.
But this
And
gives
because of that,
Surrender the
as long
time.
as he, yeah, as long as he can manage to stay even until turn 8, Glory has this game in the bag. So I like the idea of just trading, preventing any generated con shenanigans, and going for Mirror Entity. But he's not going to trade at all because there isn't a natural con in the deck.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable. It means that his Frog is, like, obviously a little bit more likely to die. But that's not the end of the world. It's not doing anything especially broken with this hand.
It also messes with Surrender. Shambhala. Not going to be played this turn, but that could be huge later on.
I guess it's Shenvala. Honestly, I was just looking at Frog there. I was thinking, like, you need to win back board, and Shenvala's so expensive with this hand. Like, almost half your mana on the following turn. You can't afford that when you have Evocation in hand.
True. Frog could have been a full clear, but I'm thinking bigger here. I think Surrender needs to get his Apprentice to make any sort of win condition, so I want to go all in on the Apprentice game plan.
Okay, I like your
but
thinking.
Glory has a second one now.
I mean, you can just write it down right now, obviously, with Potion. Doesn't know what the secret is, so that's a risky play for sure.
Not enough space. I'm thinking you might just take an overdraw again with Kobold and Cobalt and trade.
Okay.
Someday I'll be just like you.
Okay, then you just play the cheap Solarian instead.
Okay, he's taking the risk of having the Apprentice die to Flame Ward, because obviously it gets him a cheaper one back to his hand anyway, which I can respect. And obviously another Astromancer is gargantuan in this matchup.
Yeah, and Kobold to not waste the disc.
I mean...
Oh, okay!
Well, this is interesting, right? Because you say waste the discount. If he'd saved the discount, he could have gone Astromancer plus Flame Strike for 5 damage AoE on the following turn. He would have overdrawn a card. It's probably correct what he did, but it would have been the perfect answer to exactly what's going to come down.
That's pretty funny how it worked out here, but this is the big top deck for Surrender. Everything getting played except for the Entity and Cram Session, probably.
Yeah. Evocation, we're looking for no whammies, please. Just the small stuff. Small stuff only, please. Small spell mage.
Side quest, we'll take Rays of Frost, some Arcane Missile, double Brain Freeze, Mirror Image!
Oh my god, what?
You don't even want to generate the images because you won't have board space.
That's so illegal.
Wait, there is enough board space, right? For the third 5/5?
Yes, you can go Mirror Image, Brain Freeze, your own Mirror Image guy.
Yeah, like that.
Or this way, or this way. Yeah, it still works out. This is probably better.
Yeah. Just doesn't Brain Freeze anything here. Insane.
And the answer isn't there! He doesn't have the 5 damage Flame Strike!
But he has Magic Trick, Apprentice, Ray of Frost. He can set up! Just tank some damage this turn. Fine, he has Ice Barrier, freeze 2 5/5s.
Yeah.
Can even play Thalnos instead of the other freeze, it's fine, I guess. And he knows now that it is not Counterspell. Could still be Spellbender because it would not have gone off with a full board.
That's true. That's true.
It's so weird. It's become Freeze Mage versus Tempo Mage.
It's so weird. Ice Barrier? Like, Ray of Frost is basically just Ice Lance here as well. It's proper old school. Ah, okay.
Trying to get the minion on board. Sure. Actually, maybe Surrender was still supposed to Brain Freeze one of the 1/2s just to make room for the lab partner Cram Session on the next turn.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like it's so
This is a
cheap though. He
full
can just
pass.
fit it in afterwards. Yeah, I mean it has to be. There's no other way.
Sorry, the brain freeze that was generated by evocation, so it was only usable that turn.
Yeah, I know, but sorry, I'm saying that lab partner cram session. Like, if your board is if there's no board spaces that are created at all, like going for cram session plus lab partner on 9 mana is not devastating to try and fit that in afterwards. And you get down a mirror entity, which could be really impactful. Like maybe you snipe a giant. I don't know.
I will crush your delusions of grandeur.
Job done.
Board go poof.
Mm-hmm.
That was the big setup, and Surrender has to start from scratch.
This can do something. This is a hand that can do stuff, though. Generating a lot of spells.
Ooh,
Mana Giant. Evocation.
I mean, he has enough mana to go Giant Conj if he generates it off of the evocation. But I think it's probably going to be a Cyclone. Okay, maybe not. He didn't commit the Giant first, so that's one less space, but obviously what spells he generates informs
Yeah.
whether or not you play the Giant. I think we're going to see a Cyclone instead.
I don't think he's going to have space in his hand. All of these spells he's playing generate more minions.
That's true.
Time runs out on me.
Plus he has side quests for next turn.
Yeah, he can complete that with the Spell Wing, to be fair. So it could just be
Question,
Mirror Image Cyclone?
or Frostbolt Primordial Studies? I think it was between that or Counterspell.
Right. Okay.
Losing the spell damage minion kinda hurts here, but obviously Surrender is worried about... I mean, that Counterspell could have been huge this turn if Glory did not top deck exactly Ray of Frost to activate.
It's a great point.
A simple
Not the
sword.
worst minion to copy there.
Mm-hmm.
Ho, ho, ho.
Glory's still not gonna go for Power of Creation because even if the Ray of Frost diffuses the Counterspell, then the Mana Giant would still be able to attack.
True. Yeah.
Gonna hold off for another turn. Oh, Keymaster
Whoa!
Alabaster! Hello?
Whoa! That's insane, right? I mean,
Yeah.
depending on what he draws, Solarian Prime drawn for 1 mana?
Yeah, I mean, it's alive until next turn, so Surrender can still get one more at least generation of this Alabaster.
Alright.
And Val completing the quest.
Oh, what a cool game from Surrender. He was so down and out so early on, but he's still fighting on. And he's got another evocation. He doesn't
turn
even
down?
want it.
What? I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
I'm kind of shocked as well. I guess he just wants to activate the Cyclone here. It's fair enough.
Maybe? Oh gosh, how many
Solarian.
primes? Glory has 3 Solarian primes in his deck right now. 3.
So he can't go for 2 activations plus Cyclone. I imagine he's going to deviate over to a Cyclone completion as opposed to another 5/5.
Right. Couldn't tell you how many spells were played, but if he's scared of overdrawing, you can go Cyclone and then Solarian. But Surrender will certainly know how many spells he played.
I will
Okay.
crush your
Whoa, that's not terrible.
Conj! Double Conj! Or he held on to the big Flame Strike swing, but there's just been round 2, round 3, round 4 does not pick up a huge spell.
Someday I'll be just like you.
Oh,
Oh
my
my
god, look at
goodness.
this! Telegia! He gets the dragon to activate the Arcade
Yeah.
Breath. 2 more 0 mana spells.
I love Dumpo
go!
Mage.
Go!
Yeah.
Reservoir, jam it. Oh my god.
Evocation!
Ah!
You could just play a gazillion spells this turn.
How many? This would be like 5 Shenvala activations if he had one.
If he had one. But it looks like he's not going super all in. Oh wait, if you're playing the other evocation, why not play the other apprentice? I thought the whole reason for holding on to the other one was...
You can play it after, right? Oh no, because you get one less
No, but
spell.
he... And he fireballed for 3 instead of potentially 2 here.
Right,
I don't know.
right.
Time runs out on me.
Maybe, unless the whole goal was to still hold on to one apprentice after the turn is said and done, but I can't imagine what you need it for if you're already using evocation.
The other evocation that you're going to generate.
Okay.
It's honestly not ridiculous with this build of the deck. You generate so many of them.
Just wanted to cheat more mana, Derek.
That's fair.
Okay. Well, the Blizzard plus Conj is a simple way of going about things, right? Makes your life pretty easy
Yeah.
after all the craziness. But it could feel like it's too small of a board to commit Blizzard into. That's fair.
That's
Wow.
pretty good. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. These 2 powers of creation have been waiting in Glory's hand. They need to do something spectacular.
Oh! And it's too slow. It's too clunky now.
Yes, go for it.
No taunts.
That is no rushers either. Just
This
can't
isn't a
care.
value game. We're not going Cairn here, right?
Yeah. He's dying. Yep. Forced to leave 13 damage on board. Surrender doesn't have guaranteed lethal.
It says
But-
explode!
Almost certainly feels like there's a way to generate it this turn.
He doesn't have a dragon in hand. He's got the Wand Thief. Can that get Frostbolt with the missiles? Maybe?
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness.
I think, yeah, he doesn't have that much mana to work with, so I don't
Yeah.
think you can polymorph to try to give yourself the best arcane missile odds. It's
Oh!
dig with a one evocation, but there's no space.
You're taking that for another turn, I guess. Or just jam it right now.
Yeah.
Get the 1 fireball.
Oh my god, this is so difficult.
Yep. Freeze.
Yeah. I guess he's just making room for the evocation next turn. Freeze the biggest threat, send everything else face, I would imagine. Okay,
Mhm.
maybe you trade off the lab partner now. I want to still fit in the non-twin spell conj for their space.
My
Oh, he's
God,
going for it
he's
now!
going evocation
Oh my
right
god!
now!
Okay! Double conj! Hello?
What? You don't want that!
Now he has to be scared of similar things from Glory's side. 2 spell damage left on board. If there's another evocation generation, it's possible! It's not over!
It's possible.
Yeah, I'm going apprentice into one thief every single time here. Even if you whiff on it, you can still play Pock.
Mhm.
But obviously he needs a miracle off of this one thief. Flame Strike! Oh my
What?
god!
He picked the wrong
Wait,
card!
What?
No!
What? What happened?
He misclicked! What? He had the flame strike! That was the full clear!
What happened? So excited! Obviously, with Tempo
Oh
Mage, we
my
keep saying you
God.
gotta go, but this turn didn't have an evocation involved. Oh
Oh
no!
my god. Surrender knows something bad just happened.
Yep. Certainly does. I mean, he went through something similar last week, misclicking and playing Kirin Mage during what was supposed to be a Cyclone turn, but it was not game losing. This was potentially game losing for Glory.
I'm still in shock. I'm going to take off the surrender here. I think this is the only thing to do in a situation like this.
Oh, you have an adorable mug
'Cause-
as well.
That was... Oh my god. Slow down, players, please. I know that in Europe, players... we've complained that players are playing too slow. In APAC, can we please slow down just a little bit? For your own sakes here. That was... Oh, that breaks my heart.
I mean, they have to play quickly for certain turns in Tempo Mage, but that's a really difficult thing. Sometimes you have
Right.
the slow tempo. Sometimes you have a Lagrissimo, whatever, fastest turn of your life to get all of the evocations down for Glory. I'm just so sad that that absolutely epic back and forth series ended in that way.
Yeah. It well, I mean, the series carries on here because of the loss, but the game obviously does not. Crazy times. I mean, I'm sure people have plenty to say about Temper Mage Mirrors there. I thought that was really interesting. I thought that was cool. There were a lot of different things to be approached there. Obviously, you know, a lot of things being generated there. It's difficult to play around everything in your opponent's hand, but you can still give yourselves the best setup possible. Like, case in point, exactly as you pointed out, picking the Shenvala over the Magic Dart Frog. I think I would have gone for the pessimistic frog there just because you need something to spend your mana on. He went for the Shenvala, which, although it didn't win him the game because the first Flame Strike came down, it could have done so, and maybe he would have lost if the second Flame Strike had come down as well. Not quite fast enough in the end, though, and it does mean that Surrender ends up taking the win. The dream is still alive, Gia, to go 6-0.
It really is. He would have to sweep the Tempo Mage, and honestly, after ending that game from Glory, can you imagine the mental impact it has on him to lose a game that felt like he had a really great shot if he had just clicked the right card? He's gonna have to overcome that mental hurdle to get the win against either of Surrender's remaining decks, one of which is overwhelmingly favored, I think.
That's right. And we haven't really had to see this part of Glory for a long time because obviously he had a miracle run last season. It was unbelievable what he achieved in coming first in the Swiss, first in the round robin, and then winning the entire thing as well. He was just the undisputed champion at the end. We haven't had to see him deal with losing, dealing with that negative mental aspect that he really struggled to overcome. And at this point, even though he is already going through to the World Championships, at 1-3, relegation is something he does have to consider. It's unlikely when you're in Division A, even if you finish at the bottom. But at 1-3, potentially going down to 1-4, this win is very important for him.
Go2 Worlds get relegated, not the Fino special. Silver name in a similar spot, I believe, also representing Europe, but not having the best score in GM at the moment. No one is truly safe, but I like Glory's Snap 3 keep. The 1-2-3 curve tempo Shenvala is one of the best ways of beating Druid before they can even get online. And Surrender's opening hand is very slow as well.
Really is. There's the, I suppose, setup for the Q play again on this turn that Glory went for earlier on today of Broom plus Ironbark. Pretty sure you're not throwing it down with the coin here because you really want to go coining out some beasts here. So really just where you're pointing the hero power on this turn.
Yeah, I would imagine face. I don't think that he will be going for hero power again the next turn. Whoa!
He actually does it!
Play!
Oh my god. So the obvious thing to mention here is that it was a 3 keep, right, Gia? And when they... What? I was going to say cram session, but like, he just didn't kill off any small damage there?
Yeah, I thought that was going into the Solarian every single time.
Yeah, like my explanation was going to be they draw 2 cards now instead of 3. But okay, fair enough. The Shenvala does end up sticking anyway with this line.
I'm just so
Weird.
confused. This
Weird.
whole series, I just never used brooms like that. Maybe I'm not cleaning my room correctly. I don't know.
Okay, any 1-mana spell, anything at all here from Cyclone. You've got 2 shots.
Oh my
Bingo.
god, he actually hit it.
Bingo.
He hit it! I was gonna say, that is super unlikely with only 2, but oof. Render looks pretty dead. Okay, he has Lightning Bloom top deck out.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Oh, it's not getting better, is it? It's not getting any better.
Oh my god, Giant playable next turn.
Yeah. Conjur's calling as well. Oh, it's never Flame Strike, is it? No, it's probably just Conjur's calling here, I think.
Just the fact that this card has popped up and is taunting Glory about the previous game.
I promise I wasn't trying to BM that. I was genuinely thinking, do you take the Flame Strike just to deal with runners? But it's a turn away from working.
Just still so confused by Surrender's turn 1. I mean,
Yeah.
pretty much just lost now. I don't know if it's a direct result of that play. He had a terrible hand either way, but I just did not understand what he was getting at with that trade.
Yeah. I mean, he had the Bog Beam in hand, so maybe he's thinking like he could Bog Beam the Solarian on 3, but I don't know if it was a case of like overthinking, or again, you know, like we always say, we give Surrender endless benefit of the doubt because of how strong of a player he is. He's usually up to something, but if there is, I'm not seeing it on this particular instance.
Neither am I. Okay. Trade into Nvala? And then you have to hit Lightning Bloom to get Guardian, sorry, to play Guardian Animals, and if you get Thresher plus Thresher's Pet.
Okay. Omu, Innovate,
Okay,
that's a
yeah.
powerful turn.
This is a direct possibility because of Omu's catch note.
Oh, that's no Thresher.
He has a taunt. And the taunt sometimes spawns another taunt. That's the out here.
Yeah, he is technically possibly alive from where he's sat.
I think you trade the spell damage.
Yes, he does have to trade the spell damage, I think, to have any chance here. I think that's just lights out in every instance now, though. He can go Ray, Icicle. Even if it's Silverback Patriarch, he's still dead. Ironfur Grizzly, he's still dead. Or whatever.
Or this way around, he can send 3 to face. Or it's not a taunt anyway. This series, Dara. What happened this series?
Yeah, and I think Glory knows it better than anyone here. He gets a win up 2 and 3, but if I tell you one thing, he's got the mindset of a player going through to World Championships, and that is not a happy win at all there. My goodness.
Someone please send this guy a medic. Check if he's doing all right. I'm so worried for Glory. He did not look okay there. But his score is starting to look okay. 2 and 3 now. Still a chance to end up with a positive record. That was a big win. And Surrender's first loss.
Exactly. The Kryptonite strikes again. Surrender takes his first loss of the round robin. I am going to take this opportunity to send out the bat signal to Japanese Twitter. I want many memes of Glory, hands on his face like that. It's a prime opportunity for some great memery there to be had. But aside from the obvious